The biological approach. The mind lives in the brain, meaning that all thoughts, feelings, and behaviors have a physical basis. Everything physiological is at first biological. So, to understand behavior, we need to look at genes, biological structures, and neurochemistry. The biological approach believes that behavioral characteristics are just like physical characteristics that can be passed from parents to children via genes. There is a genetic basis of behavior, and some characteristics can be passed from parents to child through genes. Twin studies are often used to determine if certain traits have a genetic basis by comparing concordance rates between pairs of twins, like the likelihood that both twins will share the same characteristic. Monozygotic twins share 100% of their genes, whereas dizygotic twins share only 50%. In theory, if monozygotic twins show a higher likelihood of sharing behaviours than dizygotic twins, it suggests that behaviour has a genetic basis, because the only difference is how genetically similar they are. The genotype is the genetic makeup of an individual, whereas the phenotype is the observable characteristic caused by the interaction of the genotype with the environment. Using height as an example, the genotype dictates the maximum height an individual can reach, but environmental factors such as nutrition will affect how likely the person is to achieve their potential height. Evolution describes how the genetic makeup of a population can change over time as species become adapted to their environment. If a genetically inherited characteristic helps an individual survive and produce offspring, they will pass on that genetic characteristic. This process of natural selection means that these behaviours will be passed on to offspring and will become more widespread in the population. Using aggression as an example, a male who was more aggressive would have been able to protect his territory and gain access to more resources. This would have been attracted to a female, and so he's more likely to mate and produce offspring. Genetically passing on the characteristic of aggressiveness. This genetic makeup would become more widespread through successive generations, and the less useful genes will be eliminated from the gene pool. This genetic makeup would become more widespread through successive generations, and less useful genes will be eliminated from the gene pool. AO3. A strength of the biological approach is that it has applications. If a biological cause can be found for unhealthy behaviour such as aggression, for example, high levels of testosterone, then biological treatments can be developed to help individuals, for example, medication that reduces testosterone. Another strength of the biological approach is that it uses scientific methods. Brain scans and drug trials are objective and reliable and can therefore be trusted as the truth. A limitation of the biological approach is it relies on twin studies to demonstrate a genetic basis of behaviour. However, it is difficult to disentangle the contribution of genes and the environment. Twins share both genes and a similar environment, so the results are difficult to interpret. Monozygotic twins may have a higher concordance rate because they are treated more similarly than dizygotic twins, simply because they look more alike. Another limitation of the biological approach is it makes assumptions about the cause of behaviour when it has only found a correlation. For example, drug trials showed that medication which reduces dopamine in the brain relieves the symptoms of schizophrenia. So the biological approach assumes high levels of dopamine cause schizophrenia. However, paracetamol treats a headache, but that doesn't mean a lack of paracetamol caused the headache. The end.